Mandate in Croatia was something that Canadians back here were never ever made aware of. It's a source of tremendous pride, or ought to have been, to the country. But instead, I think we ended up with some of our bureaucrats deciding that, no, Canadians probably aren't well enough informed to understand this. It's better not to let them know, because the headline would read, Canadian soldiers kill Croat forces, or Croat citizens, because these folks were a bit of an irregular army. And the danger of that is that that would just be a continuation of what had happened in Somalia. So let's not talk about it.
The Princess Patricias had returned home right in the middle of a different controversy. The Department of National Defense was trying to do damage control over another peacekeeping mission that had gone horribly wrong. Canadian airborne soldiers had tortured a Somali teenager to death.
The Somali inquiry cast a pall over the entire Canadian forces, and for years there was nothing that we could do that was right or good. And certainly I think we began to reap the benefit of that as soon as we got off the airplane. I mean, you know, our families were happy to see us, but, you know, in Edmonton when we go away now, people have, you know, yellow ribbon campaigns, and there's you know, people lining the streets when we come back, and flag waving and all the rest of that stuff. Back in those days it was like, okay, get off the plane and, you know, meet up with your wife and kids and, you know, see you later.
So in the end, I think it was a conscious decision to basically walk away from this and let these guys come back and carry on. And hopefully it'll go away and nobody will notice.
But this man wanted the Defense Department to notice. Matt Stopford had been part of the Medak operation. As years went on, he found that his body was breaking down. He was going blind in one eye, and his body was in chronic pain. Stopford wanted the department to find out why. Joe Sharp was appointed by the Department of National Defense to investigate Stopford's illness. It was 6 years after the events in Medak. Initially, they thought the problem might be toxic material in the soil used to fill sandbags in Croatia. The inquiry would find the answer wasn't that simple. So many soldiers were ill. Mike Spella knew there was something wrong with him. He got his best chance to find out what it was when he was asked to be part of the inquiry.
And when I got the phone call, Colonel Marsh said, you know, we need an answer by tomorrow, and I gave it to him right away. I said, I'll give it to you now. I said, yeah, I'll be a member on the board, because I know, my concern was I knew these guys that were sick.
They had digestive problems, they had joint problems, they had sleeping problems, they were having difficulty with anger management and vision problems, memory problems. It started, as soon as a guy sat down and started talking, we knew he was going to tell us he was having digestive problems, that he hadn't had a solid bowel movement, for example, since he'd come back from Croatia.
In the course of the inquiry, the story of Medak Pocket came to light for the first time. As it did, it exposed the fallacy of peacekeeping. In the 1990s, for soldiers in blue berets, there was often no peace to keep. Canadian soldiers faced combat and witnessed atrocities, and the Canadian public knew almost nothing about it. The Sharp inquiry took 6 months and was never able to find a physiological source of Stopford's or anyone's illness. But the Defense Department got its first glimpse of a growing problem, an epidemic of post-traumatic stress disorder in the Canadian forces. So what did you conclude as to why these people were sick?
We concluded that primarily it was probably a result of psychological injury, stress, operational stress injury, PTSD, in the vast majority of cases.
While in Croatia, Mike Spellin was looking for a family that had been most special to him. On our last day, Mike finds another family that he knew. He hopes they have news.
I was Canadians in '93 on the Hill.
93. se sjećate? Sjećate se kad su bili Kanađani to?
Znam, sjećam. Svuda ti davaš svoju vodu.
Sergeant Major, give you water.
Yeah. Sjećam se.
Mike learns that they all survived. They fled before the offensive began.
You know, our worst fears was that they met the same tragic that people did in Medak pocket. So for me to come over here and find out that the one family's still living there and they confirm that the other ones are alive meant quite a bit to me.
Some of the peacekeepers who served in Croatia are now getting treatment for PTSD. Countless others are not even diagnosed. There is one important development for these soldiers, though. On December 1st, they will receive a Governor General's citation in special recognition of what they did in Medak Pocket. For The National, I'm Carol Off, Medak, Croatia.